A woman who walks alone does not do so because she is lost or lacking. She does so because she chooses to walk a path that aligns with her truth. Society often creates narratives for women, telling them that fulfillment comes only through marriage, through partnership, through the validation of another. But the woman who owns her story refuses to let the world define her worth. She understands that her value is not determined by whether or not she has a husband, but by the depth of her character, the courage of her choices, and the authenticity of her life. Owning your story means embracing every chapter, the joyful ones, the painful ones, the uncertain ones, with grace and honesty. It means standing firm in who you are, even when the world tries to convince you that you should be someone else. It is about rejecting the idea that a woman needs to be completed by another person, and instead recognizing that she is whole on her own. This path requires deep self-awareness and self-acceptance. It means looking at your past, not with shame, but with understanding. It means acknowledging your struggles and learning from them rather than letting them define you. A woman who walks alone does not do so out of bitterness or fear. She does so because she knows that her happiness and success are not dependent on anyone else. Owning your story also means embracing the power of choice. A woman who walks alone is not waiting to be chosen. She is choosing herself. She is deciding who she wants to be, what she wants to pursue, and how she wants to live. This self-ownership brings a level of freedom that few experience because it is rooted in self-respect and an unshakable sense of worth. It is not always an easy path. There will be voices, both external and internal, that whisper doubts, that question if walking alone is truly the right choice. But owning your story means standing in your truth even when it is uncomfortable. It means believing in your strength even when others do not. It means rewriting the narrative, proving that a woman does not need to be defined by her relationship status, but by the life she builds for herself. At the end of the day, owning your story is an act of radical self-love. It is declaring to the world, I am enough as I am. My journey is my own, and I walk it with pride. Choosing to walk alone without the societal shield of a husband or a traditional partnership is not always the easiest path, but it is often the bravest. Courage is not the absence of fear, but the decision to move forward despite it. The woman who walks alone has made a conscious choice. She has chosen courage over comfort, authenticity over conformity, and self-respect over societal approval. From an early age, women are conditioned to believe that security and fulfillment come from companionship, from fitting into a certain mold, from following a predefined path that ensures comfort. Comfort is predictable, safe, and familiar. It comes in the form of expectations that are easy to meet, roles that are easy to play, and choices that don't challenge the status quo. But comfort, while soothing, can also be limiting. It can keep a woman from stepping into her full power, from discovering her potential, and from becoming the person she is meant to be. Courage, on the other hand, demands risk. It asks a woman to step outside of what is expected, to carve her own way even when there is no map. It requires her to face the discomfort of uncertainty, the possibility of failure, and the weight of judgment. When a woman chooses courage over comfort, she decides that her happiness and self-worth are more important than external validation. She understands that comfort might feel good in the short term, but it often comes at the cost of personal growth, freedom, and self-fulfillment. Walking alone means standing in the face of criticism. People will question why she hasn't settled down, why she prioritizes her dreams over convention, why she refuses to accept a life that doesn't set her soul on fire. It takes courage to say, I am enough on my own. My worth is not dependent on a partner. My story is mine to write. takes courage to embrace solitude, not as loneliness, but as an opportunity for self-discovery and peace. Courage over comfort also means embracing uncertainty. It means trusting yourself enough to know that even if the path is unclear, you are capable of navigating it. It means believing that you can create a meaningful and joyful life on your own terms. A woman who chooses courage does not settle for the familiar simply because it is easy. She is willing to take leaps of faith, to walk into the unknown, and to trust that she will find her way. This courage does not mean that fear disappears. Fear will always be there. Fear of being alone, fear of making the wrong choice, fear of judgment. But a courageous woman acknowledges that fear and moves forward anyway. She does not let fear dictate her decisions. Instead, she uses it as a guide, a reminder that growth happens outside of the comfort zone. At its core, choosing courage over comfort is about self-respect. It is about honoring your own needs, your own dreams, and your own voice. It is about refusing to shrink yourself to fit into a space that was never meant for you. It is about knowing that true fulfillment does not come from following a script, but from writing your own. The woman who chooses courage over comfort is unstoppable. She may walk alone, but she walks with strength, with conviction, and with the unshakable belief that she is enough, exactly as she is. Walking alone in a world that often equates a woman's worth with her relationship status is not just an act of independence, it is an act of vulnerability. Vulnerability is often misunderstood as weakness, but in reality, it is one of the greatest strengths a person can possess. It takes immense courage to live openly, to embrace one's truth, and to allow oneself to be fully seen, even when it feels uncomfortable. A woman who walks alone does not hide behind societal expectations. She does not pretend to have all the answers or force herself to conform just to avoid judgment. Instead, she leans into her vulnerability, understanding that true power comes from authenticity. To be vulnerable means to acknowledge that life is unpredictable, that loneliness may sometimes creep in, that fear and doubt are natural parts of the journey, but it also means embracing the beauty of the unknown and the strength that comes from overcoming challenges. Embracing imperfection, vulnerability, allows a woman to embrace her imperfections rather than hide from them. Society often pressures women to present a polished, put-together image, whether in relationships, careers, or personal aspirations. But real strength lies in being able to say, I am a work in progress, and that is okay. Walking alone means facing the world without a protective shield, without the societal approval that comes with being in a conventional relationship. It means accepting that you don't have to have everything figured out to be worthy of love, success, or happiness. Allowing connection without dependence. Some believe that vulnerability is about opening up to others for support, but it is also about opening up to oneself. A woman who walks alone understands that she does not need to be rescued. She allows herself to connect with others from a place of strength rather than dependency. She does not close herself off in fear of getting hurt, nor does she chase validation from a relationship. Instead, she chooses to engage in deep, meaningful connections while maintaining her own sense of self. Being vulnerable does not mean allowing others to define your happiness. It means creating space for real, genuine connections, friendships, family bonds, and self-love without seeking external validation. It is about having the strength to say, I am enough as I am, and I do not need to be completed by someone else. Facing the fear of loneliness, one of the biggest fears of walking alone is loneliness. Society often paints solitude as something to be avoided, as if a woman who is alone must be unhappy or unfulfilled. But the power of vulnerability lies in facing that fear head on. Instead of running from solitude, a courageous woman embraces it. She understands that being alone does not mean being lonely. It is in solitude that she discovers her true self, free from distractions and external influences. So vulnerability allows her to sit with her emotions rather than suppress them. If loneliness arises, she does not see it as a sign of failure, but as an opportunity for growth. She understands that every emotion, even the difficult ones, has something to teach her. She learns to find joy in her own company, to celebrate her wins without needing an audience, and to trust that she is capable of creating a full and meaningful life on her own terms. Strength through softness. Many people mistake strength for hardness. They believe that to be strong, one must be tough, detached, and unemotional. But true strength is found in softness. A woman who embraces vulnerability does not need to put up walls to protect herself from the world. She allows herself to feel deeply, to express her emotions, and to navigate life with both courage and grace. Softness is not weakness, it is resilience. It is the ability to face heartbreak and still believe in love, to experience setbacks and still move forward, to be open to life's uncertainties without losing faith in oneself. By allowing herself to be vulnerable, a woman does not become weaker, she becomes stronger. Owning your truth, vulnerability is also about honesty, being honest with yourself about what you want, what you need, and what you deserve. It means recognizing that you do not have to follow a script just because it is expected of you. It means having the courage to say, this is my life, and I will live it in a way that feels right for me. A woman who walks alone owns her truth unapologetically. She does not downplay her desires or compromise her values to fit into societal molds. She allows herself to be fully seen, even when it means standing alone. She trusts that the right people, the ones who truly see and appreciate her, will gravitate toward her, not because she conforms, but because she dares to be herself. The beauty of vulnerability at its core, the power of vulnerability, is about freedom. It is the freedom to be real, to embrace uncertainty, to love without fear, and to walk alone without apology. It is about choosing authenticity over perfection, courage over comfort, and self-love over societal approval. A woman who walks alone is not weak, she is powerful beyond measure. And it is through her vulnerability that she finds her greatest strength. In a world that often tells women to shrink, to be quiet, to conform, and to seek validation through relationships, daring to be seen is a radical act. It is a declaration of self-worth, a refusal to blend into the background, and a courageous step toward living unapologetically. For a woman who walks alone, daring to be seen means embracing her individuality, standing in her truth, and refusing to let society dictate her value. Breaking free from expectations from childhood, many women are conditioned to believe that their worth is tied to their relationships, whether as daughters, wives, or mothers. They are taught to be agreeable, to prioritize others, and to seek approval before making decisions. But a woman who walks alone has chosen a different path. She has decided that her value is not determined by whether she is chosen by a partner, but by how fully she chooses herself. Daring to be seen means rejecting the expectation that a woman's primary role is to be a supporting character in someone else's story. It means refusing to be defined by marital status, career choices, age, or social approval. Instead, it is about stepping into the world as a whole, confident and independent person, one who is unafraid to take up space and be recognized for her own achievements, dreams, and desires. Owning your presence, a woman who walks alone often faces scrutiny. People will wonder why she is unmarried, why she chooses solitude, why she does not follow the path laid out for her. Some may assume she is lonely, unhappy, or incomplete. But daring to be seen means standing firm in her choices, unshaken by the opinions of others. Owning your presence means walking into a room with confidence, even when you feel the weight of judgment. It means speaking up, sharing your thoughts, and refusing to diminish yourself to make others comfortable. It is about embracing who you are, exactly as you are, without waiting for permission or approval, standing tall in the face of judgment. One of the hardest parts of daring to be seen is knowing that not everyone will accept or understand you. A woman who walks alone is often met with questions like, "Why aren't you married? When will you settle down?" Or even worse, assumptions that she must be difficult, unlovable, or broken. But the truth is, standing alone requires immense strength. It takes courage to choose authenticity over acceptance. It takes resilience to withstand criticism and continue to walk a path that aligns with your values. And most of all, it takes deep self-awareness to understand that external validation is fleeting, but self-respect is lasting. Daring to be seen means understanding that you do not have to explain or justify your choices. It means knowing that your worth is not dependent on fitting into a mold. It means believing that you are enough, exactly as you are, whether others approve or not. Embracing visibility. For many women, invisibility can feel safer. It is easier to go unnoticed than to invite criticism. It is easier to blend in than to risk standing out. But a life lived in hiding is not a life fully lived. To dare to be seen is to claim your space in the world unapologetically. It is about sharing your story, your voice, and your presence without fear. It is about allowing yourself to be celebrated, not just for your accomplishments, but for your existence. It means standing up for yourself, taking risks, and refusing to let fear dictate your actions. A woman who walks alone does not fade into the background. She does not silence herself to fit in. Instead, she embraces her visibility. She understands that by showing up as her true self, she gives others permission to do the same. Walking boldly without apology, there will always be those who misunderstand or judge, but daring to be seen means not letting that stop you. It means walking boldly even when it is uncomfortable. It means refusing to apologize for who you are or the life you choose. It is about knowing that you are worthy of love, success, happiness, and fulfillment, not because of who you are with, but because of who you are. It is about standing tall, speaking clearly, and refusing to let the fear of judgment keep you small. Daring to be seen is not just about visibility, it is about freedom. The freedom to live, to love, to dream, and to exist fully. It is about knowing that you do not need to be chosen by someone else to be valuable. You are already enough, and that is the most powerful statement a woman can make. Fear is one of the most powerful forces that can hold a person back. It whispers doubts, fuels insecurities, and convinces us that we are not strong enough to stand alone. For a woman who chooses to walk alone without the societal shield of a husband or traditional partnership, fear can be an ever-present companion. Fear of judgment, fear of loneliness, fear of failure. But resilience is the ability to face that fear, to acknowledge its presence, and to keep moving forward despite it. Resilience does not mean the absence of fear. It means choosing not to let fear dictate your decisions. It means recognizing that courage is not about being fearless, but about acting even when you are afraid. The woman who walks alone understands that fear is natural, but she refuses to let it define her. The fear of walking alone, one of the greatest fears a woman may face when choosing an independent path, is the fear of being alone. Society often equates solitude with loneliness, as if a woman without a partner must be missing something essential. But resilience means redefining solitude, not as something to be feared, but as something to be embraced. Being alone does not mean being lonely. In fact, some of the most profound moments of self-discovery come in solitude. It is in these quiet moments that a woman learns to understand herself deeply, free from the expectations of others. Resilience is about learning to enjoy your own company, to find fulfillment in your own journey, and to stand in your own power without needing external validation. At times, doubt may creep in. There may be moments when the pressure to conform feels overwhelming, when the voices of others make you question your choices. But resilience is the ability to stand firm, to remind yourself why you chose this path, and to trust that you are capable of building a fulfilling life on your own terms. Overcoming the fear of judgment. A woman who walks alone is often subject to judgment. Some people will question her choices, assuming that she must be incomplete or that she has failed in some way. Others may project their own insecurities onto her, believing that her independence is a threat to societal norms. Resilience means refusing to be defined by the opinions of others. It means standing tall in the face of criticism and recognizing that your life is yours to live. The judgments of others often say more about them than they do about you. People who criticize a woman for being alone are often uncomfortable with their own fears of solitude. A resilient woman does not seek approval. She understands that true confidence comes from within. She does not shrink herself to fit into expectations that do not serve her. Instead, she holds her head high, knowing that her worth is not measured by whether or not she fits into someone else's idea of success. Pushing through fear to achieve growth. Fear has a way of keeping people stuck in their comfort zones. It convinces them that it is safer to stay in familiar territory, to avoid risk, and to choose the path that feels secure rather than the one that feels right. But resilience means pushing beyond that fear. Growth only happens when we step outside of what is familiar. A woman who chooses to walk alone is often choosing the harder path, the one that requires self-reliance, inner strength, and a willingness to face uncertainty. But with every challenge she overcomes, she becomes stronger. She builds confidence in her ability to navigate life's ups and downs. She learns that she is capable, resourceful, and powerful beyond measure. Resilience means trusting that even when the road ahead is uncertain, you have everything you need within you to keep moving forward. It means embracing failure as part of the process, knowing that every setback is an opportunity to learn and grow, turning fear into strength. One of the most powerful aspects of resilience is the ability to transform fear into strength. Instead of letting fear hold her back, a resilient woman uses it as fuel. She sees fear not as a barrier, but as a sign that she is stepping into new territory, pushing herself beyond her limits, and becoming the person she was meant to be. Fear of loneliness can be transformed into deep self-love. Fear of judgment can be transformed into unshakable confidence. Fear of failure can be transformed into resilience, the kind that keeps pushing forward no matter what obstacles arise. A resilient woman does not let fear control her. She acknowledges it, faces it, and moves forward despite it. She understands that life is full of uncertainties, but she also knows that she has the strength to handle whatever comes her way. Choosing resilience every day. Resilience is not a one-time decision. It is a choice that must be made every day. It is the choice to wake up and keep going, even when the path is difficult. It is the choice to believe in yourself, even when others doubt you. It is the choice to keep striving for the life you want, even when fear tries to hold you back. A woman who walks alone is not weak. She is one of the strongest people in the world because every day she chooses resilience, she chooses herself, she chooses to keep moving forward no matter what. And in doing so, she becomes unstoppable. In a world that constantly pushes women to seek validation from others, whether through relationships, societal approval, or external achievements, there is something profoundly powerful about a woman who chooses to belong to herself. To belong to yourself means to stand firmly in who you are, to trust your own voice above the noise of expectations, and to build a life that aligns with your truth rather than the approval of others. Many people spend their entire lives searching for a sense of belonging, trying to fit into families, friend groups, workplaces, and communities that may not fully honor who they are. But the deepest, most lasting belonging comes from within. When a woman learns to belong to herself first, she no longer seeks external validation to define her worth. She knows that she is enough simply because she exists. The difference between fitting in and belonging, fitting in is not the same as belonging. Fitting in often requires shrinking yourself, altering your behavior, and suppressing parts of who you are in order to be accepted by others. It is a conditional form of inclusion, one that depends on meeting certain expectations and conforming to certain norms. Belonging, on the other hand, is about being seen and accepted for who you truly are. And the first step to finding real belonging is to create it within yourself. A woman who belongs to herself does not try to change to fit someone else's idea of who she should be. She does not compromise her values to gain approval. Instead, she stands firmly in her truth, knowing that the right people, opportunities, and experiences will align with her authenticity. Belonging to yourself means that even when you stand alone, you do not feel lost. You are your own home. Breaking free from external validation, one of the hardest but most liberating lessons in life is realizing that you do not need anyone else's permission to be yourself. From an early age, many women are taught to seek validation, whether it's approval from parents, acceptance from peers, or love from a romantic partner. Society often sends the message that a woman's worth is measured by how desirable she is, how likable she is, or how well she fulfills expected roles. But true belonging means breaking free from these external measures of worth. It means understanding that your value does not come from being chosen by a partner, praised by society, or meeting certain milestones. It comes from within. A woman who belongs to herself does not wait for some